Hi everybody, it's Julie. Welcome to Hello Monday. Today I'm going to be making a Halloween card. I'm going to be playing with the Got Candy stamp set from the new Essentials by Ellen release. And the first thing I need to do is create a background, and I'm using Marshmallow Heavyweight cardstock by Basil. This is like 100 pound, but you could also use Nino Solar White in the 110 pound. I like using heavier weight cardstock for embossing paste. And I'm also going to be using a stencil that has a random star pattern by Hero Arts. You could use any star pattern stencil that you have. And then this black embossing paste is by Wendy Vecchi, and I'm just going to use the back side of my palette knife to scoop some out there and then start spreading it across the whole stencil. And I've got everything taped down and masked off with that low tack tape and an extra post-it note there just in case, because I tend to be accident prone and get stuff where I don't want it. So I'm using the flat backside of the palette knife to spread everything out, and this is just because I tend to get better coverage of the embossing paste if I don't use the straight edge of my knife or the straight edge of anything to spread the embossing paste. I just use the flat side of that palette knife. And then I'm going to carefully peel away the tape in the order that I put it down. So I kind of started on the left-hand side, and then I went to the bottom, and then the right, and then the top. So now I'm just going in reverse order to remove that tape so I can be very careful and not shift it so that I don't ruin all that pretty embossing paste I just put down. So here's my last piece. I've got that stencil anchored down with my left hand there, and I'm going to carefully pull that last bit of tape away, and then I'm going to lift the stencil straight up. And I was like, booyah, because I actually got it nice and clean there on the white cardstock. And I was a little bit worried because I was using black embossing paste. I don't think I've ever used black before, so I was kind of nervous because I'm like, uh-oh, black on white, this could be a disaster knowing me. But anyway, it worked out. So I set it aside to dry, and I tossed my stencil and my palette knife into a bin of soapy water so that I can go clean it up later on without too much trouble. And I'm just going to stamp these pumpkins with archival jet black and then watercolor them with the Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolors. And I'm just using a water brush and laying down. First I went with orange, and then I decided I wanted it to be more intense, so I came back and got a little bit of that scarlet red to kind of mix and blend in with that orange color to do some shading. And I'm not very careful. Like I said before, when I do watercolor, I just kind of slop and push the color around until I'm happy. I'm very loose when I watercolor. And then add some green to the stems, and then I'm just going to quickly dry this with my heat tool so I can keep progressing with the card. And I've started storing matching dies with the stamp set all in the same storage sleeve, because I just find I have a tendency to remember where they are and use them more often when I have them packaged together or stored together. So I'm going to use a little bit of that post-it tape to anchor down those dies, make sure they don't shift, and I'm just neutralizing it by pressing it against my hand there a little bit so that it's not so tacky that I end up ripping the paper when I remove the tape. So I went ahead and die cut those out on my Big Shot, and then I came back to test my stars, and this embossing paste dries kind of spongy. I thought it was going to be hard and shiny, and it's got a really matte texture, and it's very spongy feeling, so it was really cool. Anyway, I don't know if you can see the dimension on there. I was trying to show you that, but it's kind of hard to see. And I went ahead and flipped the card over onto some wax paper and creased that score line there with my bone folder just to make sure that I didn't smear anything or ruin anything. And then I'm going to take a sentiment from the stamp set. I prepped a piece of black cardstock with the powder tool to make sure that the embossing powder would stick only to where the Versamark gets stamped. And I'm using a fine detail white embossing powder. This is by Stampendous. And just went ahead and heat embossed that. And then I'm going to use my white eraser here to just kind of remove the remnants of that powder tool. For some reason, on dark cardstock, it'll leave a remnant, and you can just come in and erase it with a white eraser. And then I just took a Swiffer cloth to get the eraser shavings off that. Now it's all much more black again, and the white is going to have a much better contrast against the black cardstock. And then I'm just fishtail trimming the ends there on each side of the banner, and I just made a clip up the middle, and then I'm just cutting in towards the sides, towards the middle, from the sides towards the middle to create that fishtail effect. You can also use the corner of a square punch to do the same thing. And then I've got some silver metallic thread coiled up down there, and I put my scissors down onto it to anchor it down onto the work surface, and it got kind of tangled up on the screw there on my scissors, so I had to recoil it and make my little messy nest there. And then I've got foam adhesive there on the back of my pumpkins. I actually glued them together with a little bit of tape runner so that I had them, as one unit instead of two separate pumpkins. And then I can just mount the whole thing down on top of that thread, and they will be popped up because of the foam tape. And then the banner, I'm just going to go ahead and put some tape runner on the top of that and mount that directly over the top. And then I was looking at, the balance of the card, and I was like, that I kind of positioned that stencil a little bit high. So I had two options. I could either whack off the bottom of the card, which is certainly, something you can do. And then I went, I have a ton of this orange washi tape or shape and tape by We Are Memory Keepers that I just keep forgetting to use. And so I just went and grabbed, I love those diagonal stripes. So I just grabbed that and cut a strip to fit along the bottom there. And I thought I accented the whole card nicely. I thought this turned out really fun. It's a super quick and easy Halloween card you can send. A lot of fun. All the supplies are available at ellenhutson.com. And you can see more still shots and further details at the classroom. Thanks for watching.